Democrats, we appreciate having people who will work hard, who will stand for democratic values, be on our ticket. And, you know, there were many years here where we didn't have candidates to oppose Republican incumbents anywhere. So we owe a lot to our candidates. It's a lot of work, it's a lot of money, and of course, they need your help. And so I'm thrilled to be able to follow that good group of candidates. And I am here to... And by the way, they can win, and they will win, if we vote. There's enough Democrats, we all know the mantra. So, now I want to talk to you about governance and about what democratic governance has looked like in criminal justice. One, criminal justice reform is really a very popular topic these days, not just with Democrats, but with Republicans as well. And what that does for those of us who have been elected is it increases the opportunity to work together to govern, regardless of which party we are in. And when it comes to daily governance, it's critical that we do that. Public safety is what I am in charge of as the top law enforcement official in Harris County. And so we have to work with law enforcement, with the judiciary, and with other electeds who shape the laws and the policies that affect criminal justice. And so, that said, I want to tell you what we've been doing the last 18 months since you elected me by the largest margin a Democrat had won by in decades. It was 108,000 votes. That's what we can do when we pull together. We brought a whole lot of judges with us. That makes daily life in the courts different and I think better and more balanced. We had a 100% Republican judiciary and county government for many years. And our team has brought good judges to the table, and it's a pleasure to work with both sides on the bench, not just one side. Now, that said, what have we accomplished? Well, we've accomplished drug policy reform, and I think there's no question we are seeing a lot of signs of success. We eliminated the arrest for anybody in possession of less than 4 ounces of marijuana. They still go to a class, but their lives are not disrupted by spending time in jail or having a bail that they cannot meet, having their car impounded, their children with the relatives or even sent to CPS, and the loss of their job or the opportunity for a job. And we did that at 10,000 cases a year. And so our reform was, let's take those 10,000 off the table and let's use those resources for something that really will make us safer. And so it's been a popular program. We've diverted over 6,500 people in the first 14 months of operation. So that's 6,500 people that would have gone to jail, would have had a record. The cost to you of that would have been millions, approaching 20 million. The cost of 10,000 a year was 27 million. So I think in terms of fiscal responsibility as an elected official, this Democrat has shown Democrats are fiscally responsible. No party owns that label. In fact, we've heard about fiscal responsibility while this country, while some electeds were spending us into oblivion. So, I think it's important for our candidates and for our supporters and for our party to never abandon the idea that the taxpayer dollar is our responsibility too, and we're spending it smarter, better, and less of it. So, that's drug policy reform. Then we implemented a program that I started when I was running that my opponent dubbed Make It Right. I called it Clean Up Your Life, but in short, we offer people expunctions, we offer them forgiveness on warrants. Again, they'll show up and go to class. These are all nonviolent crimes, these are all minor cases, but the fines and the penalties can really pile up. And so what do people do? They don't get their car insurance, they drive without it. They don't come to court, they get a warrant, a policeman starts to stop them, they run, lives are in danger. So these are very, very important cost-saving measures, but mostly we hope that they save lives. The individuals who are accused, the police who have to arrest them on open warrants. And we had 1,372 participants at our last Make It Right Day. This is a product of politics, by the way. I started with the idea that we need to expunge more people's records, make them eligible for the workforce, and that this makes us safer. My opponent evidently thought it was a good enough idea to do it. So during the election, she started this. I want to tell all you candidates, you can make your ideas real now. Lay them out there, do them, watch. I know that I had an opponent that copied me right up until she jailed a rape victim. So, and then there was a clear delineation of, I think, of values and of how we're going to treat, through our policies, the most vulnerable in our system, rape victims. So, that's what's going on in terms of reform. Bail reform is not complete. The county continues to spend, and this is Commissioner's Court, millions of dollars defending a bail system that a local judge in our federal judiciary has found unconstitutional, which I can tell you after many years of practice was unconstitutional, and was a real burden on the poor. It did not keep you safer. Anybody with money could still get out. They could make their bail. And so we need some legislative reform, and we need our commissioners to stop spending tax dollars that I think we Democrats are showing we know how to spend smarter, better, fairer. Now let's talk about the hurricane a little bit. We've got accomplishments under our belt. Those are just a few. Bail reform is happening. It's just not finished because they keep appealing the judge's ruling. But poor people are not being held in jail for misdemeanor offenses simply because they're poor. And that's what we wanted to stop. There are some public safety problems. We do have issues with repeat offenders getting out after they don't show up. There are things that a settlement proposal, I think, has been made. I wish we could get the 15 Republican county court judges who are against settling to consider that. Instead, I think you're going to need to consider them in November. Okay? It's $7 million of your dollars. Now let me tell you what happened during the hurricane, because I think it's our best accomplishment, but we really need help. My friend Chris Tritico from the Defense Bar is here. A number of members of our office are here. I'm talking to you too. It's shocking what occurred. We had a huge disaster. The city was badly flooded. The courthouse was one of the first casualties. We went underwater the first night of the big rain. I don't know if y'all know, but we have a 24/7 operation, much like an emergency room. It's called intake. It's where we listen to police officers on the phone who are out in somewhere in the jurisdiction. They'll call in, they'll tell us about an arrest that they've made, ask for charges to be filed. We listen to the facts, the evidence, we make a decision. It's literally a telephone call. So there are issues, cases get filed that are later dismissed, but basically it is a system, once again, designed to save taxpayer money by getting people through the process faster. So we had intake, 24/7 operation, working along with the judges who hear probable cause on those arrestees through the storm. The courthouse flooded. The offices began to flood. Our people had to move. They literally moved out in chest-deep water. And they moved 4 more times in the next 2 weeks. And we kept operations running 24/7. So we are just downstream of the police. We are not the police, but we are the check and balance at the first stop for the police on the case that they've made. And then we work with them after we've approved the case to make that case in court. Absent that early setting, it's a problem. People would wait a lot longer to resolve their cases than they do even now. So it's a critical function of the county, like an emergency room. There was not a plan. This happened 8 months after I'd come into office. There was not a county plan for what to do when the courthouse flooded. I find this shocking. I find it shocking because the courthouse flooded before. It flooded in 2001 during Allison. It flooded shortly after it was built. The system was down for almost 18 months, but it was nothing like this. This courthouse not only flooded on the first floor, it flooded all 20 floors up, which is really an engineering feat. It flooded because the generators, according to the county engineer, what is it called? The thing that drives the air conditioner, what is that? They went down. Thank you for that. It's middle age. Got to that word, it's like I know it. You're too young, but you'll see. You'll see. Right, everybody? Everybody over 50? It's a word, you know it, but you just can't get it. So the compressor went out, the pipes broke, the whole thing flooded, and it's contaminated. And they told us it was contaminated with sewage on the first floor. It was contaminated on the other floors with water that basically sat for 8 months. And now they got the water out, but they didn't remediate for 8 months. And then they began remediating in the middle of planning. And the planning, I thought we were in the design phase. I'm at the top of county government. Let me just say there's not a lot of information coming out of the engineer's office, the commissioner's offices, the budget office. And the next thing that I heard, along with the defense bar and your public defender, who's not here tonight, but who plays a critical function in the justice system, all of a sudden we were told you're going to be moving back into the courthouse in 2 weeks. A courthouse that had sat vacant since August with very little remediation having been done. And I didn't do it. I suggested that that was not a plan, and if they had a plan, I'd like to see the plan in writing, and I've not seen a plan. In fact, what I've seen is a moving target of, are we going to plan, are we not going to plan, are you going to move in, are we going to have trials, is the public going to be there? So what I want you to know is that you taxpayers, you Democrats, have hundreds of millions of dollars invested in our courthouse building. Not to mention that our courthouse is where we resolve differences in the 4th biggest city in the country and the 3rd biggest county. And so if you're a commercial enterprise and you've got a commercial dispute with another company and you're going broke while you're waiting for that dispute to be resolved, you may go broke, because since our courthouse got moved to the civil courthouse and the old family courthouse, which has been condemned, you're not going to get a trial very fast in civil court. If you've got a family case and you're hoping to get custody of your children, you may have to wait, because we're in your courtrooms. And so they've got the judges sharing courtrooms. We're all in the civil building or in the condemned family center. And County Judge Emmett announced the day of the school shootings, or the day following, I don't remember which it was, that the courthouse was opening up. Well, in truth, 4 floors of the courthouse are opening up, but it does seem to the public, I know from talking to you, that you think the courthouse is open. It's not. It's not open to you, the public. It's open to us, the lawyers. It's hard to imagine why it's not safe enough for you if it's safe enough for us. I've got some employees here. You know, I'm responsible for them.
We're not in the way.
We're responsible for them. And our government is responsible for them. And so I have concerns about the health of the courthouse. I've seen the air quality tests. They say it passes. I've seen what the remediation is that they're doing. It looks a lot like new sheetrock from about 4 feet down. Chris, do we have new carpet? No. So the water-soaked carpet It's the same courthouse that flooded, that was closed for months. You've got 4 floors opened up in that condition. And now they say we can have jury trials there. You the public, will be allowed in. Because let me suggest to you that the judiciary has not killed it with the number of trials that they've been able to hold. And to some degree, it's really not their fault. To other degree, they could perhaps change the way they run their dockets and make them much more efficient. But you've got judges on the balance to decide about. I'm going to leave that to your sound judgment. You're here, with the Democratic Party, and so the judges are all in the same boat, these and ours. They need space to try cases, and you, the public, needs to, I believe you need to let them know through your vote, we want judges who will try cases. Because trying cases is how our system moves. Every day in the justice system, we get new people in, you gotta have a back door that works. So we've gotta have trials. Absent trials, there's no justice. Delays are not justice. People are waiting in jail a long time for trials. Our young lawyers who come to us for jobs because they need trial experience to move on in their careers aren't getting many trials. What does that do? They quit. What does that do to your investment? When we have a young employee that leaves in under 2 or 3 years because the working conditions are terrible, because our lawyers are in 11 different buildings, that's a problem. Now, to the credit of the commissioners, we got a building. It's leased right up until September of 2020. Isn't there something that's going to happen in 2020? I think there's an election that fall. So there was a refusal to go beyond 2 years on the lease, which puts us in September of 2020. I guess it's just a coincidence. This is county government. This is your elected people who must work together to make your justice system work. So you can see that there is room for improvement. So, back in one building for the first 2 weeks, your courthouse is being open for jury trials. I'd submit to you as a lawyer, this is because we are pushing. We, meaning the district attorney, our office, but I would like some help on that. I would like the public to know your system is badly damaged. Your jail is full. Your future for quality, for an international city, it must have an internationally, it has to have a capable justice system. You have to have a quality justice system so people can resolve their differences. Lots of money hangs in the balance, but more importantly, thousands and thousands of lives hang in the balance. That's crime victims as well as those who are accused. So you deserve a justice system that works. You need a courthouse that functions, that is healthy for both the employees of the county and the public. And we need judges who will try cases efficiently and effectively and fairly. And so there's a lot of room for improvement. That's the theme tonight. Without criticizing anybody in current government on either side, I've told you what we need. We need a building that we can count on, that's healthy, that we can utilize for its intended purpose, that the public can come in, because in a democracy, we require open courtrooms. That's part of our guaranteed rights. So, that's where we are. It happens that there are a couple of races that are pretty important to that. County judge race, the county commissioners races, the judicial races. So you have a lot of places where there's room for improvement, for change. We can do this in 2018. You can elect as many Democrats as you'll come out and vote for, and as many as you will bring friends to the polls to vote for. I'd submit to you, our county needs not just your vote. Our county needs these candidates. Our county needs government that will work together, that doesn't exclude any public official because I'm part of a different party than they are, that will include all the electeds in the planning of the future of our justice system that we all pay for. So, that's where we are post-Harvey. Reform is happening in spite of natural disaster, and we have a lot to be proud of. One unintended consequence is that we file about 100,000 cases a year. It makes for a lot of paper. We kill lots of trees, we have storage warehouses, and we've gone paperless. And so an unintended benefit is that my commitment to technology and bringing this office into the 21st century happened faster than I meant it to. But we, disaster is the opportunity for change and for improvement. And so our lawyers really have trudged through these last 11 months. You should be very proud of the work that your government employees do in the county. And we need your help to ensure that we're going to have a justice system that has a courthouse that will function for everyone. The private defense bar, the public defense bar, and your public prosecutors. And oh yeah, there's one other group. You, the public. It's your courthouses. It's your justice system. So, before we roll over and accept a statement that the courthouse is open and we're back in business, I want you to take another look, because putting up a little sheetrock and sending over an air quality report, if that's good enough for you, then that's the system you'll have. But I want a better system for all of us. So, I think it's the duty of our county officials to ensure that the assets that the county owns are properly cared for. I'm not sure that we know yet exactly why the building flooded. I think it's important that we have answers to that. Twice. 2001, 2017. So there's a lot at stake for us, and it is the future of our city that hangs in the balance, and our county. And that's where we come in. So Democrats, you ready to win in 2018? Yeah! All right, then look in the mirror and let's pull up our big girl panties and let's get out there and vote and win this election.
Okay, I'll start with the ladies. Why are the judges unwilling to try cases? Is it because the courtrooms are doubled up and they're complaining about
I didn't say unwilling, and it really in part is not their fault. There are not enough courtrooms available for juries at all times. But I did suggest that all of our judiciary, this includes our Democratic judges, could take a look at the way they run their dockets, and instead of having us go to setting after setting, knowing that our case isn't ripe yet for a plea offer, it's a waste of your money. And it's a waste of their time. They could use that valuable courtroom time to try cases, as opposed to have cases set hundreds at a time sometimes, which are mostly being reset. We could take the pleas at a different time, they could be scheduled. It's a very inefficient docket system. So I want you to talk to our Democratic judges about that. I've talked to them. They disagree. They are using this old system. Okay, it's time for change.
Most of our problem actually with not trying cases even predated Harvey. A lot of our judges, and by that I say our, even the Democrats, but the Republicans particularly wouldn't try them. But what I want to say to the District Attorney of Harris County, Kim Ahok, a good friend of mine, there was a public-private partnership that rebuilt the Med Center, a much bigger project than the courthouse, after a flood not too many years ago. We need a leader, and it's not going to be our commissioner's court. And it's not going to be our judges, apparently, because they haven't done it. There's only one person I trust and know that could be that kind of leader, who could put together a public and private partnership to make the criminal courthouse what it should be, and putting everything back in the same building that flooded twice without fixing the problem is not the answer. And I would just hope that somehow you, because you're the one person I trust to do it, could find a way to create that public-private partnership. And is there any way you, as the elected DA, can try to establish that to do what the Med Center did? Because that was a both public and private partnership. More private money probably. To try to get the same kind of results they did. Because they moved all of their equipment out of the basements and out of the first floor, and they did things to change it so it wouldn't happen again. And we wouldn't have 18 months without our systems. Any hope that you can become our leader on that program? Because it ain't going to be our commitment.
So Jim, as you well know, because we have an interconnected government, we have an interesting funding situation for elected officers like the district attorney, the county attorney. And that is that the commissioners, as I say, have us by the budget. So, what I mean by that is they control our budget. And it's a reality. So I enlisted the help of my friends, the lawyers of Houston, Texas, starting with Chris Tritico, who spoke out about the courthouse immediately after the flood, put forth his own plan, and was rejected by the commissioners. I also contacted Alistair Dawson, the former president of the Houston Bar, and I am in the process of reaching out to other high-profile lawyers, asking them as a collective to demand that we, the lawyers, the users of the courthouse, be included in the planning process, and we are not being included. I promise you, Chris and I go to the meetings, I take all my top staff, it's so important, and the planning is happening with no input from me. And to the best of my knowledge, from the defense bar, public or private, I mean, we're just simply not included in the discussions. It's after the fact where, you know, they suggested that phase 1 and 2 had already been completed. I was like, well, that was quick. I wonder what that was. I guess it was the sheetrock. So phase 3, they suggested to me, is where we could ask for design changes after it's built.
The civil courts had input, the criminal courts did not. That's wrong.
I'm U.S. vet Rashid Eli Muhammad, the owner of Reed Train America EDS Tech. It's been an uphill battle trying to get returning citizens and veterans with backgrounds employed. I work in the telecom industry, right? So they don't allow them to come in. So we had to switch over to the construction industry to try to get more people employed with a background. How can we work together? And I was contacted by CNN Van Jones' office to kind of work with this initiative, not only in the state of Texas, but on a national level. And I was asked to reach out to you to see how we can work together to do so.
So nice to meet you, and
Was that
thank
quick
you.
enough?
Yeah, that was quick. Thank you for your service to the country. Thank you for your continued volunteerism, and let's get to work. Good night, Chris. So, getting people back to work is critical, and we're going to have a big legislative push this session to expand the concept and the application of expungement and non-disclosure, meaning people could get their records cleaned up. It must be expanded. It's very restrictive. It takes a long time. There's waiting periods. All of these things work to keep people out of the workforce. We're safer when people are in the workforce. So I think that's one way. 2, these clinics that we're holding that we call Make It Right Day are serving thousands of people, and we're going to keep holding them. And we're going to keep serving thousands more to try and eliminate low-level warrants for nonviolent crimes. They're just fines, but the warrant's real. The warrant will send you to jail. So you miss a traffic ticket, a warrant issues, bad things can happen. To both the policeman executing the warrant and to you with the warrant. So I think that's another way. And 3rd, we need employers. We need that partnership that Peacock is talking about. That basically recognizes we have more jobs in Houston, Texas than we have qualified applicants. That is a great problem to have. And it's a perfect invite and opportunity for criminal justice reform for people who should be working and not serving a life sentence because they have a criminal conviction from 20 years ago on their record that prevents them from a better job, any job, a higher paying job, etc. That's what I've got. And I'll see you after this meeting. Shakira Dennis, Community Outreach. Shakira Dennis, Community Outreach.
Hello, my name is Monique. I'm a member of the Texas Organizing Project. I had a question for you. Recently, I've been involved personally with the criminal justice system and within my own family, so I've learned a lot about the criminal justice system. I discovered recently that when you're on deferred adjudication, if you pick up a new charge, your probation could be violated and you could be sentenced based on the new violation. Instead of going to trial for that new violation, being proven guilty, then having your probation violated. So that gives a room for a low moral standard for prosecutors to use deferred adjudication to get a sentence and then dismiss the charges later on. So my question for you is, as a district attorney for your office, is that something that you would be against, using deferred adjudication as an easy way to get a sentence and then later on dismissing charges so that defendants don't...
I just don't agree that our prosecutors offer deferred adjudication to get an easy sentence. Now, here's what I think. If you're not guilty, you need a trial, and we should give you a trial, and we will give you a trial if we can get judges in a courtroom to try the case. And we can. So, if you're not guilty, you shouldn't plead guilty to anything. And our prosecutors are instructed, and I think everybody's clear on the fact, if we can't make a case, we don't say, well, how about probation? So, if somebody's on deferred, there's a contract with the court, it's pretty ironclad, and your life is now in the judge's hands in terms of what violations you pick up. So the initial deal is very onerous. You get out of jail, you're on probation, but any law violation will send you back to jail if you're caught and will place you in the full discretion of the judge in terms of sentencing. So it's a reason you want to ask your judiciary and your judicial candidates about how they feel about technical violations or new law violations. But there's not a right under that type of probation to get your trial on it first. You go before the judge for a hearing with a much lower standard.
So we're going to have one last question over here.
Assuming we get a much more favorable state legislature, what is on your wish list besides the one you already said?
Mental health funding.
Yes.
You guys, I gave a speech last week in another state and said, you know, we're 49th, this is a crime. One of my colleagues came up to me after the speech and said, no, you're not 49, you're 50. We are last in the United States in terms of the money, your tax dollars being spent on mental health. But don't worry, they're being spent sending the Department of Public Safety employees to the border at a cost of $1 billion. That's what your Texas legislature decided to spend their money on. Not public education, not mental health and public health, but on securing the border with the Department of Public Safety, which, by the way, makes the highways more dangerous. And their labs have issues. It's a matter of priorities and political will. Understand that. Your democracy really is as simple as the effort you put into voting. Thank you all very much.